Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. It's about 8:17 in the morning here on March 7th, 2023. Today is Tuesday, and we're getting ready for. Is today Tuesday? Yeah, I believe it is. We're getting ready for some good stuff today and tomorrow. We've got some news, some events that are going on here, which really makes the market not so fun to trade. But alas, here we are. We're here to get ready for the day. Before I get into all of this, as you all know, this is not financial advice, and I'm not your financial advisor. You are responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your own research, and I'm just giving my opinion on the market. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the S&P 500. We're going to take a look at the ES chart. I did post a few updates on TradingView. If you're interested in that, you can go over to TradingView and you can find some of my ideas that I posted on some stocks last night as well. So feel free to pop on over to TradingView. And also if you need access to our Discord, you can find all of that information on BitDoctor.org. So let's take a look here at the S&P 500. All right, so a couple things I want to focus on here. I'm on the 4-hour time frame. All right, so I'm on the 4-hour time frame here on the S&P, and just a couple things that I want to point out, and really it's going to be revolving around our Wave Master indicator. So let's go back here to the to December of 2021, and then going into January of 2022. All of these little red bullseyes that I put on here have coincided with areas where the Wave Master continually said to sell and sell and sell and sell down here. We had a sell there. We had another sell here. We had a sell right here. And then we had a sell right here. All of these areas were saying that you should be getting out of the market. All right. And then let's also take a look at the momentum indicator, which is an indicator that I'm going to be releasing here very soon. Again, we had a sell here, a sell here, a sell here. We had a sell here. And actually there was a little bit of a buy right here, which actually coincided with this low. Right? But the Wave Master didn't really support a buy, right? We really were in a mode where we needed to be getting out, right? Another right here, and of course the last right here. Now that's from the Wave Master mixed a little bit with the momentum indicator. And that was way up here at the top where we were trying to push through and continuing to make new highs, but we eventually rolled over and we fell, right? And we fell pretty significantly. Now, for that 4-hour Wave Master, when were the buy signals that we got? Well, we had a buy signal right here, which was shortly after the roll, right? We had the futures roll right here. We had a good buy signal right here, right? And then the next time, of course, again, before I go into the next time, we had a good rally off of that, right? Next time we had some buy signals was back here. And again, this was after a roll, right? Futures roll. We had a pushed down into the futures roll. Then we had some good buy signals. We had a buy here and here and here and here and here. And I think we can all agree that there was, a decent rally off of that after we had all these different buy signals on the ES futures. All right. Then what did we have? Let's just talk about the roll that we had here. We had a push up into roll, and then we had a drop. Okay. So I think this is, I believe, near where we are today, just to keep things in perspective, right? So going back here, right, we had a drop down into the roll, and then we had a push up afterwards. Then we had a drop down into the roll, and we had a push up afterwards. And then here we had a push up into the roll, and then we had a drop afterwards. And then right here, again, we had a push up into the roll, and we had a drop. Now here we are, we're getting a push up into the rollover, and what's going to happen? I actually believe we're probably going to roll over, and I want to talk a little bit about why. And I think a lot of people are getting caught, and I want to talk about that as well. But before I drill in, I want to talk about the fact that we had our first Wave Master sell signal on the ES futures. This happened and occurred on February 14th, and that was the first time we had gotten a Wave Master sell signal since January 12th of 2022. So this was the last 4-hour sell that we got before the one that we just received on February 14th. And if you've been watching me for any amount of time, I've been talking about Valentine's Day. I had been talking about that for a long time, that was a key cycle day, not on the ES futures, but that was a key cycle day on SPX. And we got to that, and it just so happened that we got a sell signal here on the Wavemaster. You can see it right here. We had a little bit of a sell signal on this, and let me just go ahead and zoom in just a little bit. We had the sell signal right here, and that was, pretty close to the top. It was above 41.50, and we dropped down to almost 39.23. And you can see I've got an alert set there at 39.23.75, and we didn't quite tap that, but we've bounced up, and we're kind of just sitting up here now. We had 2 solid days of rallying, and then yesterday was kind of a lackluster day. But now that we're up here, I want to talk a little bit about the traps that we've gotten and what we have seen. So I want to go back here to the end of December of 2022. What I and a lot of people got caught up in is the fact that it looked like we had a nice pull right here, and we were going to be seeing, a nice wedge, right? A nice wedge that was going to be in the form of, A, B, C, D, E, and then we fall down. We come all the way back down here. It's about 35.30. Well, obviously that didn't pan out, right? This was not a compressionary bear flag, right? We were compressing, but the pressure was released to the upside. And now what we're starting to see is the fact that we've got a low, and then a lower high, and then a lower low, and then a lower high, and then a lower low, and now we're starting to make another lower high. If we can push out of this, then I would start to get a little bullish. But if you go to measure, and I'm going to go to a 1 hour time frame now, if you go to measure the top here, the top that we've got, about 4,200, and then the bottom here, around 39.25, you start to see very, very clearly that we had a rejection of this 50. We had a rejection of the 50, which is at 4,064. And we're consolidating right below it. We did have, I would say we had a good rejection off of that yesterday, but I tend to believe we're probably going to see a move up. And you can see back here, I predicted that this would happen. This would have been yesterday about 9 in the morning. So about 24 hours ago, I was talking about the fact that we're probably going to come up here to this area and get a rejection from there. So now that time has passed, this is actually looking more and more better. The tap of the top of this is going to be basically right on Thursday, right at the rollover, right? We're talking about the rollover being, Wednesday into Thursday, and that's when futures traders are going to do their rolls. And looking at this, it looks like we're probably going to continue to see a push up into the rollover date. Likely is going to be fueled by covering, short covering, rolling, closing positions, opening positions. You're going to start seeing this occur. And the later that this goes, the longer that this goes, the better the chances are that we're going to see this rollover near futures rollover time. And so what we're also creating here, again, is kind of an expanding diagonal, right? So if you're looking at this, we could be working on, from here, a W, and then an X, and then a Y, and then an X, working on that X before we go down to a Z. All right, so I'll be watching out for something like this, and I'm not saying that we're going to come all the way down here to 38.61. I actually don't believe we are going to go to 38.61, and I'm going to talk about that also here in just a second. But it does look like we're going to try and test this, and we're probably going to get a pretty significant rejection. And I think a lot of that is going to be due to a new futures contract that's going to be traded, and it's probably going to be slightly bearish. It's probably going to be a bearish futures contract. So we're talking about the ESM 2023 contract. So the M series is likely going to be a bearish one, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, what I want to do is I want to actually go into the M series as it exists today and talk about the reason why I'm not really expecting the ES to come all the way down here to 38.61, because when we roll at the end of this week, things are going to look a lot different than they do today. So we see gaps. We see gaps quite often, right? So this is a significant gap that we had right here. And let's just go ahead and zoom into it so we can just kind of see this a little bit. So this gap that we had right here, this was created by the futures roll, moving from one contract to the next contract, right? This was actually moving from Z22 to H23. And we saw a gap of about 30 points, 30 to 32 points. We had a gap there. And I'm expecting the roll at the end of this week to be very, very similar. Trapper, I'll take a look at that drop in percentage as soon as we move over into the M series, which I'm going to do here in just a moment. So looking at this as a 30 to 32 point difference, I'm actually expecting that to be the same over here. When we do the roll, that may be what it takes for us to come up here to this area. Because if we just continue to move sideways here at 40.57 to 40.60, when we hit this roll right here, when we hit that roll, it's going to move up. We're going to see a gap up about 30 points, and that's going to be that move up to right here, and that's going to be at roll time before we start to see a move lower. All right, so let's go ahead and move on into the M series. And remember, we're talking about a move to 4098 to 4107. 4098 to 4107. All right, so let's go ahead and move to the M series. So I'm going to go to ESM 2023. So this is our M series, okay? So again, looking at this, we're talking about that move up to roughly 4,098 to 41, I think it was like 41, around 4110. Well, if you take a look at this, we're taking a look at this wave 5 that we're kind of working on right now. Up here to the 618 is a move up to about 4121. And actually, we got there yesterday. We got really close to it. It was at 4119. So the fact of the matter is that when we get to the rollover, right, which is going to be Thursday, which is actually going to take us all the way out to about right here, likely when this is going to play out. So let's watch for this 3 going down here for the wave 4 before we see that move up to wave 5. So very likely, looking at this, we're in a little bit of a bear flag. We come down here to wave 4, and then we start to see this move up here to wave 5. Now, the question, how big of a drop is that in percentage terms? Well, let's go ahead and zoom out just a little bit. I'm going to move out here to a 3-hour, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at this from a channel perspective, right? So taking a look at it from this perspective here, right? And then also taking a look at this from a lower low to lower low to lower low perspective. All right, so I believe we're not going to go down below 3,900. Likely we're going to come down here to about 3,901. A move down to 3,901 is a pretty significant pullback from where we're at right now. Certainly doesn't have to happen, but you know, I'm taking a look at a lot of different things right now. When you get to higher time frames, like the daily, it looks pretty healthy. It does look like there is more upside to be had. So I'm not skeptical, but I'm looking to get into a risk managed trade here, because I think having that patience for the ES to get up here to this 618 to 65, the golden zone, waiting for it to come up here is probably where you're going to have a decent risk to reward. And that's, of course, if you haven't been long since down here. But now, the percentage-wise, we're talking about, you know, roughly 5.5%. So we're not talking about a detrimental drop. And if you zoom out, right, if you zoom out and take a look at this, and it's not going to look so good here on this futures contract because there's really like virtually no trading that's occurring back here. But this is not, you know, out of the question. This doesn't look out of the ordinary to get a little WXYXZ to get something off of the 3,500 lows that we had back in October. Right, so we get a move down here. What we're now looking at is a larger A and then a B, and then we go up for the wave C. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about where wave C is going to go. Fact of the matter is we're taking a look at that potential for a 5.5% drop from a move up to that 4,100 area. And then from there, you know, now we can start looking at the potential for more significant upside. what I looked at here, going back to the 4-hour, right? Again, we had that sell signal here, and we had a pretty decent drop. We had about a 6% drop off of that sell signal that we had. And now we're taking a look. We've got a good rally here, and I do think we're probably going to roll over again, come back down here to this area where we found a lot of support. And I think we can all agree there was a lot of support back here. So going back to retest that more than likely is going to be what happens. What a lot of people are going to be talking about is also the fact that we have kind of a left shoulder, we've got a head, and we're creating that right shoulder right here based off of this neckline. So if this breaks, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be late to the party. They're going to be saying, yeah, we're going to come down here, and your target for the head and shoulders is going to be all the way down here at 3650 to 3700. Well, I don't think that's going to happen. You're probably going to get this move down here, right? And again, it's going to be about 3,900, right? So you're going to see a move down, but I don't think you're going to see the fruits of this head and shoulders play out, right? I think more than likely the best that you're going to get is a move to 3,900. And again, I say 3,900 and not 3,861 because of that futures roll. The futures underlying is going to be a lot different when that M series takes over. It's going to be off by about 30 to 35 points, which is going to get us to roughly 3,900, maybe a little bit lower than 3,900, but we're not going to be taking a look at a move down to 3,860, 3,800, 3,700. I don't think that's going to be the case. So I'm going to be waiting, because if you take a look at the 4-hour, you've got the red wave, the white wave, the yellow wave that were all up here in overbought conditions, and now they're moving down. Now let's also zoom in a little bit and let's focus one last thing. I want to focus on the fact that we've got significant high here, significant high here, but we've got a much lower high right here, right? Much lower high. So we've got basically from up here, we've got a high here and we've got a lower high right here. And potentially we're going to get still a lower high. But even right now, we've got a lower high. But then what do we have from the indicator's perspective? From this high right here, we've got a higher high. From this high right here, it's pretty well in line, right? So it's pretty well in line. But we do have some hidden bearish divergence. And what would be nice to see, it would be nice to see this come up here, create a new high, but not break this high that we've got here on the green wave. So the 4-hour does have a little bit of bearish look to it. So I've got to keep that in mind when I'm taking on any kind of risk. We're getting some rejection here at the 50 continually over and over and over. We're getting rejection at the 50, but I do believe we're going to get up here to the 618. And when we get up there, let's watch and see what kind of divergence that we have, what kind of signs we're getting from our indicators, and then we'll make a determination what kind of a trade we want to take, because whatever I take, it's probably going to be pretty conservative. It's probably going to be in the form of just some ETFs, not anything options related, although you could probably get like a put debit spread, something like that. We've been talking actually quite extensively about option spreads inside of our insured area on the Discord if you're interested in that. But just continuing to watch this and seeing what happens next. All in all, I am a little bit of a bull in the stock market, but that doesn't change the fact that I think we're going to get a little bit of a pullback here over the next week or two. So you do have options expiration next Friday, which is also going to be where futures expire. Yes, we're rolling over, but the expiration date is actually going to be the 17th, right? So the contract switch, you can see here, I put it up here, is Friday, March 10th. But the expiration is actually going to be next Friday. Just because we roll this Friday doesn't mean that that's when everything expires. That basically tells traders, hey, the roll is this Friday. You need to get out of those positions, close them out, because expiration is just right around the corner. And by the way, there's a new contract for you to be trading, which is that M series we were just talking about. So that's where I think we're likely going to go on the S&P 500. And then going into, of course, next Friday, right, that rollover would go right into it. So if we do get a drop into that futures expiration, this would be the perfect scenario. Now, that certainly does not mean that's what's going to happen. It doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, but it certainly does mean that this is a real possibility that we've got in front of us. And I like to take 618 trades. I'll take them every day, as long as everything lines up and it really looks like the best trade to be taking. So again, for me, that's going to be a move up here to the 618. It's going to be on bearish divergence, after hidden bearish divergence, and the indicators are going to be starting to point down. If all of these things line up, it's a no-brainer. It's a trade that I would be willing to take any day of the week. So be watching for that and seeing how things evolve over the next week, because it could be, after we get that roll next week, we could be seeing a more significant move to the downside as positions are closed out of the H series and things are moving into the M series. All right, guys, that's what I've got for you right now. Just wanted to focus on the S&P 500. Want to spend about 20 minutes discussing that. If this video did help you in any way, shape, or form, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, share. If you need access to our Discord, find that information on BitDoctor.org. If you need access to our indicators, including the WaveMaster indicator, including the momentum indicator, which I'm getting ready to be releasing probably over the next week, and also if you need access to our volume analysis tool, which is also built into TradingView as well, you can find all that information on BitDoctor.org. And last but not least, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a good day, a good night, and a good evening. Take care, everybody.